Chapter 9. Oh, that I were in the wilderness, in a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them. For they are all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men, and they bend their tongue, their bow of falsehood, and they are grown mighty in the land, but not for truth, for they proceed from evil to evil. And me they know not, saith the Lord. Take you heed every one of his neighbor, and trust you not in any brother. For every brother acteth subtly, and every neighbor goeth about with slanderers. And they deceive every one his neighbor, and truth they speak not. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, they weary themselves to commit iniquity. Your habitation is in the midst of deceit. Through deceit they refuse to know me, saith the Lord. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, Behold, I will smelt them, and try them, for how else should I do? Because of the daughter of my people. Their tongue is a sharpened arrow, it speaketh deceit. One speaketh peaceably to his neighbor with his mouth, but his heart he layeth wait for him. Shall I not punish them for these things, saith the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? For the mountains will I take up a weeping and wailing, for the pastures of the wilderness a lamentation, because they are burned up, so that none passeth through, and they hear not the voice of the cattle. Both the fowl of the heavens and the beast are fled and gone. And I will make Jerusalem heaps, a lair of jackals, and I will make the cities of Judah a desolation, without an inhabitant. Who is the wise man, that he may understand this? And who is he to whom the mouth of the Lord hath spoken, that he may declare it? Why is the land perished and laid waste like a wilderness, so that none passeth through? And the Lord said, Because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not hearkened to my voice, neither walked therein, but have walked after the stubbornness of their own heart, and after Balaam, which their fathers taught them. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. I will scatter them also among the nations, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I will send the sword after them, till I have consumed them. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Consider you, and call for the mourning women, that they may come, and send for the wise women, that they may come, and let them make haste, and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may run down with tears, and our eyelids gush out with waters. For the voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. How are we undone? We are greatly confounded, because we have forsaken the land, because our dwellings have cast us out. Yes, hear the word of the Lord, O you women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth, and teach your daughters wailing, and every one her neighbor lamentation. For death has come up into our windows, it has entered into our palaces, to cut off the children from the street, the young men from the broad places. Speak, thus saith the Lord, and the carcasses of men fall as dung upon the open field, and as the handful after the harvestman, which none gathereth. Thus saith the Lord, Let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord who exercise mercy, justice, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will punish all them that are circumcised in their uncircumcision, Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab, and all that have the corners of their hair polled, that dwell in the wilderness. For all the nations are uncircumcised, but all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart. All right, let's go back up to verse 1. Now, yesterday in the last chapter, we remember they drug the bones of the kings of Judah out, and all the princes and the priests and everybody else, and scattered them out in the sun for like dung, because these things have not prospered them. In no way has the king, and the history that's recorded here in the book, prospered. Only a couple of times did even the kings follow after what God said, and it wasn't just but quickly that the children turned as soon as they was gone, because this is an example that's used constantly. We find it in the book of Judges, it's in the book of Kings. See, because this is what goes on. This is what goes on. So God punishes, and They keep backsliding. They keep going back. They'll come forward and they'll slide 2 steps back, see, because men keep teaching, keep lying, bringing them back, setting up idols, running their mouths, things that they never had no business doing, see. They teach this peace, peace in the land. There is no peace. There's been war and strife and continually, because they'll teach this in one place and do the other in another, see, so that no one has understanding. No one can understand that these things this is what's causing it. These lying words, these words of trying to make an agreement, see, with lies. You can't do these things. And the Lord's made a great example in the earth of this. And when we left off, Jeremiah was crying. He was wishing that he could cry for you, but he cannot. Well, we're going to pick this up in verse 1. Oh, that I were in the wilderness, in a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them, for they are all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men. And we find that this repetition of history just keeps continuing. It just keeps going around this great circle. That I were in a wilderness, see, that I was in a place where the words could drive out far from here, in a lodging place of wayfaring men, in a lodging place today we would consider this like a hotel or a motel or something like that, a lodging place for traveling men that travel, that I might leave my people, that I might go away from these people, because they are all adulterers and an assembly of treacherous men. And that's what they've become. These things were going on then, they're going on today. 2, and they bend their tongue, their bow of falsehood, and they are grown mighty in the land, but not for truth. For they proceed from evil to evil, and me they know not, saith the Lord. They bend their tongue, they lie. See, and this is their bow of falsehood. This is what they use like a bow. See, just like a man of war would use a bow, his lies, his deceit, his lack of understanding that he teaches has become a bow of falsehood. It's like an arrow, and they're shooting forth these arrows of ignorance, and they're slaying. For they go from evil to evil, and they know not the Lord. They never consider the God, his law, see, but they go forth with their agreement, destroying. 3, take you heed every one of his neighbor, and trust you not in any brother. For every brother acts subtly, and every neighbor goeth about with slanderers. Trust not in your neighbor. Trust, because you're going to find that he has falsehood in him. And these things that have been brought in from all over the earth, and mingled in and imputed in to create one abomination, is what everybody's teaching. This is what the understanding of the world is. And every brother acts subtly. He don't even know. He's been led astray. See, he's been led astray, and he has no understanding. They all go about with liars, slanderers, mockers. 4, and they deceive every one his neighbor, and truth they speak not. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, for they weary themselves to commit sin. Becomes evident by society and the degradation of it, and this is what is allowed. This is the lies. This is what comes from deceit. See, and everyone does deceive his neighbor through the own ignorance of your understanding. And truth they speak not, for no one has taught you the truth. No one has taught you to be observant to the law. See, be observant to the law, mind, body, and soul. See, if you will seek the Lord with all your heart, see, and all your soul, and with your flesh as well. See, this, we're going to find this out. They weary themselves to commit sin. They weary themselves. They are tired and wore out with doing these things. Because they don't understand what they're doing. They have been taught to do this. 5, your habitation is in the midst of deceit. Through deceit they refuse to know me, saith the Lord. Why? Your habitation is in the midst of deceit. That's where your habitation is, see. You have raised up a habitation there in the midst of deceit, in the midst of lies, in the midst of idolatry. See, because that's what idolatry is. It's lies. Through deceit. And through this deceit, they refuse to know me, saith the Lord. This is where you err. See, this is where you err, trusting in men, not following what God says. 6. Therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will smelt them and try them, for how else should I do? Because of the daughter of my people. For the daughter of my people, for this teaching. See, this true understanding was born from this teaching. This is the daughter we're talking about. God's going to smelt them and try them. What else should he do? This smelting and this trying is going to make them go through the furnace, even pass through the fire, so he can separate. See, he got to separate the dross out now. And this fire is the fire of affliction. God is going to afflict you, even in this fire of deception, trying you there to see if you can hear God and come forth. 7. For their tongue is a sharpened arrow. It speaks deceit. One speaks peaceably to his neighbor with his mouth, but his heart he layeth wait for him. See, this, because that's what he does in his soul. His soul seeks to entrap, having no understanding. All of them, their tongue, this in their mouth, has become like a sharpened arrow. It shoots forth in deceit, see, with lies. Of course, it's all peaceably. We found that out earlier in the prophecies. They said this, it will be a sweet thing. It's going to be pleasantry. All this nice. Peace, peace, peace. There is no peace. 8. Shall I not punish them for these things, saith the Lord? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? We find that that's exactly what God did. He punished them for this. He punished them for their idolatry. He punished them for their ignorance. See, this is what God does. Don't you think he'll do this today? Shall I not punish for these things, saith the Lord? Shall my soul not be avenged on such a nation as this? Such a nation of perversion and immorality as this? For the mountains will I take up a weeping and a wailing, and for the pastures of the wilderness a lamentation, because they are burned up, so that none passes through. And they hear not of the cattle. Both the fowl of the heavens and the beast are fled and gone. God has utterly laid waste this land, the land of truth, this land of understanding. It's been laid waste. It's been made bare. It's burned up. And they don't hear the voice of the cattle, that they're starving to death. There's nowhere to feed. All the grass is gone. Everything's withered and burned. The fowls of heaven and the beasts are fled and gone. There's nothing left here. It's done away with. 10. And I will make Jerusalem heaps, a lair of jackals, and I will make the cities of Judah a desolation without an inhabitant. And that's what he's done. That's exactly what God's done. And I will make Jerusalem, this place of peaceful teachings, heaps, a lair of jackals. This jackals wouldn't fit. I know the King James Version here, which this would be verse 11 in the King James Version. The jackals is translated dragons. It's not dragons. We can't properly translate this word, so if we translate it as close as we can, it would be something that's long, something that's got elongated, something that's a serpent probably, or a reptile, something that's got a tail and it drags behind it, lizards, things like this. And that's what it's become. This place for abominable things. The beast won't even live. There's nothing left to eat. They're living off of of bugs, 11. Who is the wise man, that he may understand this? And who is he that whom the mouth of the Lord is spoken, that he may declare it? Why is the land perished and laid waste like a wilderness, so that none passes through? Why is it like this? Why has this place of peaceful teachings become a lair of serpents and lizards? Of course, you know, these that have the forked tongue, they have a tongue that forks on the end, that goes both ways, it speaks lies. Why is the land like this? Why is it made waste, Lord? Why is there none that passeth through? 12, and the Lord said, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not hearkened to my voice, neither walked therein. Why is it like this? Why is the earth like this? Why is all the war and strife and contention in the earth? Why is there poverty? Why is there hunger? Why is there sickness and disease? Because they have forsaken my law, saith the Lord. And this is why it's like this. You've turned from the Lord your God, and you have gone after every abomination in the land. And these things have brought this upon you. 13. But have walked after the stubbornness of their own heart, and after Balaam, which their fathers taught them. Nothing changes. Walked after the stubbornness of your own heart. Oh, we know everything, and we're right. Sound like a little kid to me, having not lived long enough to experience and have understanding yet. And you chase after Balaam, these Lord images that your fathers taught you. See, this is what your fathers taught you. Generation unto generation, they chase after these things. 14, therefore thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. And that's what he's done. That's exactly what he's done. See? Because they have no understanding. So what did God do? He fed you with the curse. He fed you, give you the curse instead of the blessing. You didn't follow the law of God. He said if you would follow, you would get the blessing. But you didn't, so you got the curse. And he will give you water of gall to drink. We heard about this in yesterday's lesson, this water of gall, this bitter water. This bitter water, it's punishment. See, this is a punishment. You get good water when you do right. You get bad water when you don't. See, these are teachings. This is understanding coming down. When you follow the Word of God, you get a pure understanding, clean, enriched. We can drink. We can get nourishment from it. But when we listen to the words of men and follow after all this idolatry so that we can sin and still go before the Lord, see, we get bitterness and curse. 15, I will scatter them also among the nations, whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. This is what he's done. This is exactly what God did. And there you are today. I'll send the sword after them till I've consumed them, saith the Lord. This sword, the word of God, will hunt you out, slay you where you stand. If you're not for God, you are against God. 16, thus saith the Lord of hosts, consider you and call for the mourning women, that they may come, and send for the wise women, that they may come. Go gather you all these women, these women from man, these teachings that come from man. Go get them all. Gather them all up. Get all your understanding ones with great understanding, the wise women. Make sure they're skillful in mourning and crying. 17, and let them make haste, and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may run down with tears, and our eyelids gush out with waters. This is what should be done, crying and wailing. 18, for a voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. How art we undone? We are greatly confounded, because we have forsaken the land, because our dwellings have cast us out. Even your place where you existed has cast you forth from there. Why? Because you've forsaken the land. You have forgot about what matters. This voice of wailing that's heard out of Zion, out of this parched place, out of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the daughter of Zion. It's the daughter. It's this teaching that comes from the understanding of God's law. But they've done wrong. See, they've done wrong. 19. Yes, hear the word of the Lord, O you women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth, and teach your daughters well, and every one her neighbor lamentation. Teach them how to cry, and teach them how to wail. Teach them all, because this is what you got of the hand of the Lord, for you have all but done away with the law. 20. For death has come up into our windows. It has entered into our palaces to cut off the children from the street and the young men from the broad places. These young men from the broad places, these that don't have no understanding, that are going to go down and be taught in this place made wide, Rachab, this place that was made wide by the mouth of men. Cut off the children from the street. There ain't going to be no playing. There ain't going to be no running around in the streets singing, rejoicing, having fun. Why? Death has come up into the windows. These windows, even where light's supposed to come in, understanding's supposed to come in, but darkness there. Death. You've disobeyed God's law. 21. Speak. Thus saith the Lord. And the carcasses of men fall as dung upon the open field, and as the handful after the harvestman, which none gathers. And this is the way it is. The carcasses are falling as dung upon the open field. As a handful that the harvestman drops, like a little handful of grain dropped on the ground, spread out, a piece hither and thither. Nobody's going to pick that up. It's gone to waste. 22. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. Why? For none of it's going to save you. God gives wisdom. God takes your wisdom away. See, God, the Lord gives, and the Lord takes away. Neither let the mighty man glory in his might. You think you're strong, you think you have a lot of strength, it ain't going to do you no good. See, you're fighting against understanding, and there, all the muscles in the world can't save you. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. Money, silver, and gold's not going to save you in that day. This is not what it's about. And this wise man, let him not glory in his wisdom. Your wisdom is the lack of understanding. Your wisdom is of idolatry. Your wisdom is of men. You have no understanding. But let him that glorieth, 23, let him that glorieth glory in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am the Lord who exercise mercy, justice, and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, saith the Lord. You want to glory in something, glory in this, that you understand and know the Lord God, that I am the Lord who exercises mercy, saith the Lord. God gives mercy and justice, this word righteousness, judgment. God does these things. God done did it with the law, see. Judgment went forth with the law. Those that observe, those that don't observe. 24. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will punish all them that are circumcised in their uncircumcision. You think you're circumcised, see, and we're going to find out at that time this was the circumcision of the flesh. See, we're going to see all these other nations weren't circumcised in the flesh. God made a separation. See, God made a separation here. God made a separation between the flesh, the circumcised ones who were considered to be clean, the uncircumcised ones who were considered to be unclean. See the separation in the flesh through the circumcision? Just like God separated in the flesh that we eat, the clean and the unclean, with the separation of the hoof, but requires to chew the cud if it's clean, and if it doesn't chew the cud, It's unclean. See, this chew the cud, chewing it over, mulling it over, considering it, meditating in the law and in the understanding of God. But now, 25, Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that have the corners of their hair polled, that dwell in the wilderness, for all the nations are uncircumcised, but all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in the heart. Egypt, this land of enclosures; Judah, this land of these of praising; Edom, this is the family of Esau, and those that are red show the blood in the flesh, that even make a blood covenant in the end. And the children of Ammon, this is all the nations. Ammon represents all the nations. And Moab, Moab means he's from his father. See, and this is the one who was born from an incestual relationship. And all that have the corners of their hair polled, that dwell in the wilderness, that dwell in this land where the words drive out, that have the corners of their hair polled. And these corners, what they got is the edges rounded off, see, and this is so they don't have to go by the law. See, this is so this part of the glory has been trimmed off and the edge is removed. See, whereas before it was straight. For the nations are uncircumcised, but all the house of Israel is uncircumcised in the heart. For God made a separation in the flesh, and I don't know what Judah got up doing up there, because Judah is part of Israel. See, Judah is just the two tribes that was considered. It was the southern nation. See, and then Israel was the 10 nations, and they was considered the northern nations. So Judah is part of Israel. See, they always will be. You may separate in understanding, but that's the only place you can separate. See, but God separates everything. God divides. See, God joins together. God kills. God makes alive. Because God does these things. Men don't control these things. And this uncircumcised of heart, God said, Deuteronomy, I will circumcise your heart. See, but there's those in the earth, and they say, well, we are circumcised in the heart, but not in the flesh. See, they may have the lion representation of it, but have no understanding of what this means. See, to be circumcised in the flesh means to be obedient unto the law in the flesh. To be circumcised in the heart means to be obedient to the law of the Spirit. See, one must be both. See, circumcised in both understandings, having both understandings to keep the law in the flesh, so that we may have law, that we may have understanding of the law in the Spirit, keeping now the law of the Spirit and the law of the flesh, doing both, the greater and the lesser, leaving neither undone. See, teaching both, teaching it, causing understanding to go forth. Why? Because if we try to keep just the law of the Spirit, the law of the flesh goes undone. See, and if we try to keep just the law of the flesh, the law of the Spirit goes undone. And they sin. Their sin, it still remains. See, so we must keep the law of the flesh and the law of the Spirit. That way, when two agree, they can walk together. See, and this is what it's all about. God showing Himself great. That turn and return. Let's move forward to chapter 10.